All right. All right. Let's see how many people we can get going in here. It's going to be just a moment. All right, just bear with me, guys. I believe we're starting to get some people in. Desktop audio off. Uh, I'm going to views just yet. Let's see. Waiting to see if we get some people in here. Let me pull up YouTube. We got 3 people in here. Okay, we got a couple people going. Welcome. All right, so I'm trying to get a few more people in here. If you guys, if the sound is messed up, will you let me know? Let me know in the chat. I haven't used YouTube in a while. All right, so what I am looking for here is I am looking for liquidity to be taken. I am watching for a move like this right here to be taken. Okay, so if we see a move to the downside right here with a quick recovery behind it, yep, with a quick recovery behind it, then we will be looking to enter calls, and we will be something like this. So when it recovers, we'll look for a faster recovery. We'll watch this drop down, take liquidity. Now, the one thing you have to be cognizant of is we're watching this candle here. Okay, so this is a super bullish candle, creates a fair value gap. They're going to try to buy this out right here. Okay, so they're trying to maintain, bulls are going to maintain this. We're seeing it pop into the 61 fib. You could take this right here. Okay, you could take this here and look to close it out there at the fair value gap, or look for this thing to at least do its expansion here, right? Any of those would be targets and a pretty good risk reward. But I don't like that setup. I think based on, structure wise, we want to take this low out here, okay? So you can take that particular move. I like this thing recycling down to this RSI down here. We'll see this harmonic setup come down. So that will require us to move a little bit further down and take that low. So we are getting a bit of a push here. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch this real quick and see if we get that push down. I will be looking to, loud and clear. Thank you, Nick. We'll be looking to see this thing try to make that move down below the liquidity here, and we'll see how the recovery goes. So keep an eye on this. I'll be looking to probably add some lottos towards the end of the day. We're at 12:07 Central Standard Time right now with a nice coil here. I think we'll have a pretty big sell candle, and then we'll see if we can turn that into a a hammer. So worst case scenario, right? People might be calling this out and looking for like a invert cup and handle, right? And if that was to play out, if that was to play out, we'd be virtually looking to see something in the extent of an extension, and that would bring us down into my level around 504.33. Now, can we see that? Absolutely. That could flush us all the way down to this range, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is a bear fake, a bear trap, excuse me, and we're going to see if this thing wants to run the liquidity here. So we have too many things that are telling us that this is going to potentially break to the upside, but it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm actually still in the short right now from earlier. I had 506 puts that I ended up having to close out, trying to see if this thing wanted to virtually up here. I was looking for this thing to get rejected, and when we got that secondary high get smacked down, that was a really nice confirmation for us to push down. I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, but there was a lot of bullish signals, especially after this move from this morning and holding this low. So keeping an eye on this right here for us to potentially pull back down. Nice little hammer reversal candle setup right here. We'll see on the coil here. I just don't believe it. We might see this thing roll and try to make a move up and then back down. But I'm not gonna chase this. Okay, we talked about how this could be a setup here. The bulls that were into this fair value gap buy that we talked about earlier, where we talked about that coming on that 61 fib and then setting up the stop here. I think they're going to run that stop here, and I think that we're ultimately going to get this move here. So I will be watching for a push below these lows here, and then once we get that, looking virtually at this here, right? So setting up an alert, we'll set up alert right here at 33 on the RSI for the cycle. See if that gets tapped. Just waiting here patiently, right? Waiting here patiently. Big ass sell on Bitcoin. Large sell. Hit that area. Let's take a look at the Qs real quick. Qs are in a nice coil right here. It looks more unstructured than anything. It really just looks like a really big cool off. But we are starting to see some signs of this thing trying to make that move down. But it will be a quick move down and then up. So watch this fair value gap. We can see 433.69 taken out. That's definitely a possibility. Okay. So in addition to that, watch the break here, which we did confirm already. But let's see if we do smack that real quick and then try to make that move. I've got an alert set up here at 505.40, watching for this thing to make that move down, and then we will see about potentially taking some 508 calls. What time frame? So this is a 1 minute time frame right here. That this would be a scalp. Okay, so I wouldn't be looking at this as a potential. Wouldn't be looking at it like a swing or anything. If anything, you're looking at on a swing. The best thing I could tell you, I'm going to go ahead and remove this for now, is that we have created two zones for us, right? So I was watching this yesterday, and I said that we set our hard low, and I posted this in a couple chats, so I don't know who's in here and who's not. But what I'm looking for is, I said we set this hard low yesterday, right? Came back into this block here where we had the decision to break out, and then we really just jetted off of that nice little candle set, and I said we set the low. We had a change of character, came back down, retested the low. I said there's no way we're going to give this up tomorrow morning, and we didn't. It tested it, and I was in calls, and I was going to let this thing play into 507, but I decided against that, and I looked. Nice little bounce here, little recovery. Let's see if this thing gets smacked at 505.84 and rolls back over. But we are starting to see, again, a nice little bullish candle setup right here where we create a fair value gap. Let's kind of see how it responds here. I wouldn't be following this. This is a nice higher low here, where you might have some people looking to come in here, but I still think that this has potential to be a bull trap right here. Potential. potential. We've made a pretty strong sell off here. In addition to that, we had another strong sell, but this is a nice bullish candle here. This could create some type of squeeze here. I'll be looking to see how we respond to taking the liquidity at 506. We have a break here that we need to monitor. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these ones that we've already tested. But this morning, I took calls right here after we took that liquidity. It's kind of like what we're looking for right now. I did sell when it took this high here, and then I knew that we would roll back down one more time, and so I waited for it. We got that. I took this one right here, and then I waited, and I got the fill here at the new high, and then I waited again for the breakdown here at 506.09 and sold the rest. Even though my target was 507, I did not think we'd get this follow through like we did. So getting a little bit of a smack at 505.84. This is a previous line here. We are going to go ahead and take that off. It does align with the breakdown here. So we'll give it a little bit of context. 505.82 here. We'll see how it lines up. Again, breakdown from earlier at 506.09. If we take a look at the gamma, let me pull this up real quick. Black box stocks. I want to take a look at this real quick. Let's take a look at SPY here. Giving a bit of a delay on the live, a little bit. Guys, do me a favor and hit the like button. I would appreciate it. All right, so what I am looking at here is we're looking at SPY, and we're looking at the gamma here, okay? So we have puts right here. I highly doubt, based on what we're seeing here, that we go any lower than 505. I think our close is likely between 507 and 505. And probably right on 506, okay? That's going to be our max pain for today. But we do have a bit of a 0-day gamma that wants to hold us under 506. So if we do get over this 507, I do anticipate 508 to be a close. I actually have a close on the day as high as 508, like 508.50. Starting to see some puts roll in on some sectors here. Energy's catching some. Mara's getting some calls. CRM's getting some calls above the ask here. Nice little prints on some blocks. I really would like to see some sweeps and not so much block. SMCI is a nice little print here. It's a sweep. Let's take a look at this and see what the open interest is. So that's a closeout. Okay. So that is a closeout. Open interest is there. Volumes, I don't know why it's not reporting the volume just yet. Maybe because it's so brand new. We had 398 open at the ask. Boom, there it is. Okay, so they just opened those. We have 200 still open. Some of those are closed from previous, but we just had an increase in this call. This is the SMCI 1480 call for April. It looks like they just opened a good amount of it. They're looking probably to create that higher low here on SMCI. Let's go take a look at it real quick. Nice little jump here. Took that liquidity. We talked about watching that range and see how it responds. Okay. So took that. Let's see if it wants to roll back down and confirm back here at 505.82, or if it wants to mount 506, we might see a squeeze right into this range, okay? The breakdown from earlier is at 506.28. Fair value gap standing here. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. Higher low here, shark harmonic pattern. I really like this 506.28 marker to get a nice little sell that's lined up with this fair value gap with the breakdown. 5-minute breakdown is right here. So we might see the killer start here and then like lose momentum and then see if this thing, but this is definitely squeeze territory, okay? So entered over top of our first breakdown here. After liquidity is taken, we have to imagine that we at least see this right here at 506.28. So again, 5-minute fair value gap starts here. liquidity has been taken. Nice little squeeze-like type of candle structure. Nice momentum here for a bullish move to recapture this. So we talked about entering here, but I thought we were going to get the swipe. I still think it's a potential. Okay, still think it's a potential, but we did talk about risk reward, right? So it's all everything we do in trading is risk reward. We talked about entering here at that 61 fib, which would have brought us right here. We talked about the first target being here, second target being at the fair value gap here, and then additionally we talked about taking out some of this liquidity up here. So yes, it can run on this. We do have a little bit of room on the 5 minute to make that run. But we will see this thing bump into this trend, likely right here at this fair value gap. So that's going to be an interesting concept for us to see if this thing wants to make that move. But nice little move. I want to take a look at this real quick. I did go ahead and delete this earlier because it was getting a little bit of choppy. But watching this right here, this is a 1 hour RSI. We could see this thing roll one more time down, right? So I think let's watch that fair value gap and see if this thing wants to run into this trend right on support here on the 1 hour for our swingers to enter. And this might be the move that would bring us up likely into the top of this trend here, which would probably bring us in that 509, 510 mark into the end of the week. So watching the swingers will be watching this very closely, looking for the move to the upside. So again, we just watched this thing get smacked at our first target here. I think we're going to push just a little bit higher here and watch 506.28 and see if we start puttering out at that point. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. It's all about, like I said, it's all about risk reward. We're willing to risk this amount, right? Let me pull this back up. We're willing to risk this amount to hold this low with the intent of first taking profit here at this high, this liquidity. Second was at virtually would be this 506.28. And then third one would be right here. So most of the time you're in any trade, you want to see this thing take most profit here. Okay, let's see how it responds to 506.28. It's going to be the fair value gap. Okay, pushed up in that range, got sold on, entering a bit of a supply there, clearly. We've recently touched it and got sold, 506.28. Let's see if we get a bit of a turn down here, maybe retest 506, 506, or 505.94, or even lower, okay? So at this point, if you're watching this, this would be the ideal spot. We're starting to see a little bit of top in the 1 minute. Not so much on the 5 minute just yet. We talked about watching that trend. So it'd probably be more so in this range. We might have tapped it, but we'll see it continuously come up into it. So we'll keep this just an eye on this just now. We'll see how it responds. I would like to see it tap our 506.28 and potentially look to short that back down. So what we'd be looking for is just tapped our 506.28. We'll see how it responds. Okay. So we're going to wait. We're going to see a little bit of a breakdown here. And at this point, we at least would watch for a scalp here, maintaining this high, but we want to see some red candles here. So nice little rejection right on 506.28. Let's see if this thing wants to roll down, test this moving average, and test this high. Want to see some red before you short that, guys. You do not want to just short just a rejection candle like that. You want to see this break down some. So we've got 4 seconds left. Let's get a red candle here, striking a little fear on some people, and then we'll see about potentially shorting it. So for example, let's see, let's look, 506 put. A 506, this would be a daily 506 put here. Is right around 40, right around 44 here, 43, 44. Wouldn't do it just yet. Like I said, you want to see this thing catch a little bit of a reversal look. This is a 506 put. We're waiting. Squeeze like, right? Squeeze like. Nice little gap here. Touched our 1 minute fair value gap. All right, so what I'll do here is I will look at this and say, all right, starting to see a little bit of maybe momentum coming in, starting to see a little bit of fear. I went ahead and I grabbed a 506 put with the intent of letting this ride up into this 506.79. I just grabbed one and I look for this thing to roll back down. But if it wants to roll up in here, this is where my real move is, right? So it's not a big deal. It's 40 bucks. And so I watch this thing roll in here, and then I'll see if this thing wants to give me my, say, that right here would probably be making about $25 if we came into this range. Right around 58. So it's filled at 43, went down as low as 38 there. And we'll see if this thing wants to roll back over here. Okay, I'm going to add one more with the intent now that this would be the stop. So 38 would be my stop on here. I'm adding one. I added one more. So 38 is my stop. So I'm risking roughly 10% at a fill of 42. I'm looking to get at least 54, which would probably bring us right around this range right here. If not, get all the way down to 58, which would be right in this range right here, if it happened quickly. So risking 10% for roughly, see, we're probably going to get stopped out here. We'll see. Showed a little bit, showed exhaustion, equal highs here on the RSI. If it wants to continue to run, then great. By all means, go ahead. We lost 10%, but I'm looking for this thing to potentially roll over here. 5 minutes still got strength. 5 minutes still got strength. We're at our rejection point here on this. Looking at this, potentially looking to turn over, but strong momentum here, y'all. Strong. Okay, so stopped out. Stopped out for a 10% loss. We'll look for this right here as our next area. Sunny shine. Great financial advising. It says not financial advice. All simulated. All right, so we're watching this. It's definitely in that type of squeeze look. If you took the call here, man, it killed it right there. Looking for like those 507s from the low there were roughly 507 calls were, even if you took the 506 call, let's go with the 506 call there. We're at about 30, where you would have bought in, where we talked about it, is at 40. Right around 40, and now it is sitting at, I can get this thing not to trip out on me. Okay, so we're at 40. It's about 80% gain right now. 80% gain from this initial push. We first took that when we talked about the first target was a 27% gain. The secondary gain was about 60, and now it's sitting at about 90% right now. So I am watching this zone right here as a potential, watching this thing to squeeze. If it does, it'll be super overbought. We'll watch it take liquidity. We'll watch it actually close this gap at 506.92, and I think we'll likely get a cool-off session. But nice recovery here. Nice higher low here that created that shark harmonic pattern. Okay. W to the high. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're looking like, right? So that's where we always look at. It's called a shark harmonic pattern, and you see this set up all the time. If you take a look at it, it looks just like this. It's called a shark harmonic pattern. You can look it up, but a lot of times it symbolizes a reversal, right? And you can see it on topping. You can see it. Here you go. Is a topping, but virtually what you're looking for is called shark harmonic. Shark harmonic. It's what I was looking for down here. We had the 5-minute, but if you catch a bullish one, it's a lot of times a little bit higher, but a lot of times it's pretty equal. Like right here, this one was pretty equal. So I use this quite a bit to indicate a potential reversal based on the setup, and we'll see. We'll kind of see how this goes. But watching this area, this liquidity right here, to potentially be taken. We did come, and I'm curious to see how this candle, how we react to this candle. If not this one, watching how it reacts to this candle here, high volume. So here we go. Let's see. Boom, big squeeze happening. Okay, came up into this candle, and we'll see how it responds here. We talked about this was the actual play. I just took one contract here. I'd look for this to be the actual play up here. Take a look at Tesla real quick. Okay, this is a perfect prime example of this, right? So I talked about a potential push over the top of this high here, testing this this liquidity, right? It did not make it all the way to that liquidity, but we talked about it coming down to this zone here earlier, and it did almost touch that. Almost took the liquidity here, took this liquidity here. So watch for this. So at this point, what you do is you'd watch for this thing to try to make a run back up. This would be just kind of like we just set up, right? We'd watch the long here. We take this. We'd set the low here on the new low, new liquidity, and we look for it to take out this high right here at 203.73 with a small 2% gain or 2% risk versus reward. So that's the idea here. It looks like it's just zooming. We're watching this make that push. I do anticipate a large sell to come in right here around this 506.80 range. When we start taking these out, this will induce a large sell, at least a pretty decent cool off session. So this I will likely buy a 507 put and see if we can just catch a little bit of a move down. I'll buy a few of them and see how it wants to respond. So keeping an eye on this. Space Monkey wants to know what he needs to do with Mara. So this came down. We had a fair value gap there, and it bounced after taking liquidity. Both these liquidities, or all three of these now, came and hit a fair value gap there, and it's looking to run. So he needs to be Space Monkey. So watching this, okay, keeping an eye on this. Super overbought here, really squeezy. This is dangerous to short when you're at such high lengths of shorting, right? So you need to be very cognizant that this thing could just rip. If you don't have ladder orders set for something like this, you can really get burned. The call from earlier where we talked about taking that setup is at 120%. That is from right here, from this initial move. I thought we'd get this test, but we didn't get it. I imagine we'll probably find ourselves moving all the way back down to around 506 here, unless they want to maintain the squeeze and then watch for our fair value gap. But this does look super toppy here, right? This is your standard typical topping here. You don't like the fact that it had this candle here, but as far as standard topping, this is it right here. Again, came into our bullish fair value gap. Let's see if it wants to make that one last run into this range. Okay. I'm gonna hop off this real quick. Kind of interesting that we've seen some phantom prints super low today. Specifically, the Qs had a phantom print at 387.36, so pretty substantial phantom print way down there. Kind of an interesting look. VIX is starting to get some calls here, 50K on calls. Let's take a look at VIX real quick. Okay, nothing huge coming in just yet. Taking a look at it. TLT is starting to catch some calls. Sweep 46K on SoundHound. That's silly. Why is that not showing anything? Okay. Starting to see Sophie, starting to see pretty good size. Daily open interest. Apple's catching some calls. This is open interest is extended over the daily. So this is a bullish move when you start to see open interest is exceeding the daily open interest. That means there's people already in it. Now they're jumping on board. Sophie, kind of interesting, virtually linear there. Google's starting to pick some bullish flow, and Split starting to catch some bullish flow. I don't, was that what that was? SPLK, SPLK, SPLK. Splunk. Oh, okay. We had earnings and smashed it. Holy cow. Smashed earnings. 15% surprise on revenue. They really did a great job about making some money. Let's take a look at this real quick. 120 price to earnings ratio. Let's take a look real quick. Was that the first time for them to post profits quarterly? 3.8. Wow. This is, what do they do? Marketing cloud software, Splunk, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Margins increasing, so that's really nice. It's definitely, so let's put it this way. If they're able to maintain this type of growth on their earnings, then that's substantial. But you can see Q4 2022 was their largest last year, and it was the same type of setup. But we did see a quarter over quarter increase, like 50% on each one. So that's a really nice stock to look at for long term. Not financial advice, but definitely something you need to be keeping an eye on. I will. If we catch any type of discount on that, that's something where I'll look at. Okay, watching this, try to make its move here. I really want to see this try to take this. Like I said, this would be something you really need to be cognizant about on a ladder order type of situation where you set up a automatic type of stop loss, because it could get squeezy real quick. But I'll watch it. I'll look for this thing to take it and then trade back down underneath it and use that high that it sets as a stop loss for a move back down. Let's say it bumps our 506.92 gap fill, right? Let's say it does that from our liquidity here. Even just coming down into our 38 fib, 50 fib, 61 fib lines us back up at that 506 confirmation. I don't know if we'll get that, but I'd really be open to seeing it probably is 506.38. So if that is the case, pretty solid 50-cent move there for a scalp. So we'll keep an eye on that, knowing where if we get a solid like sell candle into this range here, it still presents us a pretty solid risk reward, which would be, let's see, a 2.5% or 2.5. So start looking at that. It's a pretty interesting little setup. Let me see the people chatting on YouTube that draw some green arrows. Cool. Draw some green arrows. Green arrows. Okay. Here we go. So came in, touched our liquidity zone, but did not cross it just yet. Just touching it. Supply. This would be our supply zone. Still didn't cross it. You want to see it cross it, take liquidity, and make that move. It's kind of like what we were seeing here earlier, right? We could see it came into that liquidity, it did not cross it, and ultimately got the rejection. We could see that in this manner. It's a nice little bearish divergence, right? So you see a higher high, and then you see a lower high on the RSI. So you could short it with this high here. It's not a terrible idea to see this thing run back in this range. I'll try a simulated. I got to say that now because people are pressuring me. A 507. Let's see, a 507 put is 69. So if we got that move, okay, so stronger sell right here, 507.69. 507 puts up a few dollars. See if we can get that move down at 506.43, or how it wants to respond to our fib here. It's not our actual fib, excuse me. Fib would be right here, and the next fib would be at 506.29. Let's see if we move this moving average, right? We're starting to see a bit of a bearish divergence here, but this is the thing about these type of days, right? These type of days, if it fails to make a new high, right? When we don't have any structure here, anything built down here, the magnet is just incredible for it to bring it right back down to here with really nothing here to stop it. And this is where you can go. This is where big swing days are, where you can make money from liquidity to liquidity happens quickly, right? Just like it was here. Came down, made a run on this liquidity here, and then we're running right back at this one. So it's something where it can happen pretty quickly when there's no structure. So keeping an eye on this. You're going to see this thing likely come right in this range, 506.43. If you're enjoying the content, do me a favor and hit the like button. If you're learning something here. Intraday gap right here at 506.50. Okay, so the 507 puts up 7% right now. Didn't get the greatest of fills, but it'd be the target right here. The target right here would be $84, 84, 86 to bring it right here. The gap fill is 81, which should be roughly a 20% gain. That is right here. So you could set that up. Nice little push into the zone. Take a look at this here. It's a 5-minute gaps on a 5-minute too, so more than likely going to get filled. You're just going to have to be a little bit patient. Okay. I love when these set up like this, but I like to see a little bit different of a look here. Because what will happen a lot of times when we see this is it will make a new high here if it wants to make that bounce. The liquidity is right here, right? Which it just fell off of this indicator. It does that sometimes, kind of annoying, but here's your block of it on 5-minute. See if this thing wants to roll down. About to get our 81 fill on one of our contracts. Create new order. 81 limit. Boom. About to get it on the gap fill. Gap fill would be right here. Still didn't get it yet. One more push down. We'll get that fill. I'm going to close this out. Not just, or excuse me, delete that off. So when I trade, so I use RSI, I use some smart money concepts, I use a couple different things for myself. We'll see if this thing, RSI is always giving me great insight, right? Great insight of what's going on, even prior to understanding smart money concepts. We'll see this thing try to make a move. It may very well likely come and take this particular high, which is liquidity. It's just not popping for whatever reason. All right. Give it a second. Ooh. Why is it not recalculating? There we go. Okay, let's see if we get our gap fill right there at 506.49 right now. Okay, there we go. Oh, so frustrating. Okay, come on now. This will be a stinger candle, pop down, and then recover real quickly, likely. Wouldn't be surprised to see us, like I said, bounce off of this range, maybe create another high, come down here, create another one, and create some type of look like that for a continuation. Going for this line right here, that is a intraday gap fill. And all right. So just being patient right now, guys. Being patient. Okay, just got our gap fill, just got our fill on our contract, which was a nice little 15% gain right there. Let's see if we want to continue down, get our secondary fill around 85. Okay, here we go. Right here, 506.43. Come on. Hadn't quite gotten it just yet. Let's get it right here. Boom. Okay, just got our 85 fill. And then let's see if we want to go a little bit further. Again, like I said, fair value gap right here. So got to honor it and watch for it to reverse at that point. We just saw a bunch of people just follow in on these 507s. So this is what happens, right? 507s, we had 1,800 people following our contract that we've been in for quite a few minutes. People are just now following. What will happen to them is that this will likely find its bounce on this fair value gap. And we'll see this thing come back up, put those people reverse. Now, if it wants to continue following, sure, absolutely. Great for them. But a lot of times what you'll see is you'll see that thing work its way back up, put them a little bit negative, strike a little fear in their heart. This is people chasing. We see it. We know what to look for. We enter with limitations. Okay, big push down. Here's another gap fill right here. It taunted it today. Okay, so contract's up about 14-15% right now. We'll see if it wants to continue going. This thing, like I said, it could continue to slide all the way back down to 506. I don't think we're going to get there. But this 506.32, trying to find a bounce on this candle here. I do like this range, this anywhere between 506.32 to 506.27 as a potential bounce candidate. All right. Okay, waiting for it to push back down. This is the last breakdown right here. We do, like I said, this is technically considered a intraday gap. This is going to be our 5-minute 10 moving average. So volume weighted moving average, the only thing I use. Man, we got one person in here right now. Who's in here? Comment in the, is it Alba? Is that the one person in here right now? I got one person here. Well, hello. Alba, man, thank you for tuning in, sticking in there with me. I know you've complimented some of my analysis, so I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So this is virtually what I look for is I play a smart money concept. Smart money concepts, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. And then I play, I also use RSI, right? So this my concepts. Oh, well, hello. I'm telling y'all, it just said one person, and then I had a few more people jump in, so I appreciate it. It might be a long time you have been online. Yeah, so 48 minutes here. We called out the play here for the call and looking for this thing to run. I thought it would get a little bit lower and get that, but neither here or there. It did make that run. Yeah, it absolutely can still drop. It absolutely still can drop. The thing you need to be, what I think it's going to do is I think it's going to position itself. This is the RSI, right? I think it's going to position itself right probably on this trend. Close is right around here. right around here. I think we close. This will push down, probably put us right in this range. This would be a triple divergence, bullish divergence for a 1 hour, which would be a swinger's dream, right? So they're watching that, and I can assure you that there's going to be some support there. So 1 hour 10 moving average is underneath the price right now. So it's an interesting look. We did break this trend, but we have failed to meet this high several times. And in fact, as of right now, we've failed to meet these highs as well. So we've got a triple rejection. Now, here's the thing. If we fail this one, right, and we trade back down to this range, we're 100% probably coming for 504.77. So that's where you can make an opportunity for yourself to send this lower and likely strike. It'll definitely strike these lows, 505.45, but I think specifically this 505.40. Range. I think that would get taken. So it's not a bad idea. How about running zero call? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. What I would do, if anything, so we got room to run here, right? What I would do is I would watch for these highs to be taken, and then and it still maintain a less than high than this 507. Because here's the reason, right? Let me go to 15 minute. I might even, yeah. So the idea is that we had a move down, okay, created our low that I talked about yesterday, and then we made and set that high. Well, this could be part of a leg. It's just trapped between these two. This is chop. What we've seen today is chop. There's no movement. We set our high yesterday. We set our low yesterday. And we've just been stuck in between those, right? So we're just playing the supply and demand essentially here. But until we see this broken with a bullish move upwards, then we are in containment, right? So I think what we could see, if we do break out over the top of this, it's very likely that we find ourselves either right on our weekly open here tomorrow, or we'll find ourselves back into this demand area right around that 506 area. But this would be a break, and then that. So I find it more likely that we'd be at that 508 range that week, that where we opened our week, right? So that's what I think. But I think also, if we don't break this, right? If we don't break this going into futures, this will likely bring us down, because this was a rejection overnight and then brought down, and then we failed to meet this high, especially if we don't take any of these highs. We failed 3 times to take this high. So I'd find it that we'd likely gap down if we close anywhere up in this range here. I'd find it that we likely gap down. We'd probably be flirting right here with 504.75 again. And then if I had to guess, we'd probably bump, and then we'd run down, probably aim for this 502.56, or, excuse me, 503.50. I don't know why that was removed. So that was the last break here. So we'd probably find ourselves looking in that range. But at that point, you'd have to look at a Fibonacci extension, and that would likely bring us down 502. Again, 1.5 of this right here would be 503, but at least 503, potentially down to 502. And personally, if we leg down like that, we'll probably retest that 500, and maybe even sneak our way down into this 497 and really set up some people for a potential squeeze on something like this. So that would bring us down to that 497 range. Confirm on this breakdown here, bring us right in here. So that would be an interesting look. But as of right now, it's just containment, and it's just theory. I open puts yesterday closing high. Perfect, man. So what I would do if I was you, and it's not financial advice, but I think if we break, yeah, if we do break through this, it's going to be a really interesting thing, because this would be your bull trap right here. Your 100% bull trap to take these highs at 506. We see this often where it would come, it would take this high here, and then we dump it back down right back here, and then make a decision. So we either want to continue going, or we run back up at that. So that's generally how we'd see this, but there is a lot of bullish candles here. The same thing with bearish candles. So it's just generally we run from liquidity to liquidity, and I'll give you an example of that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to increase my liquidity so you can see this. Okay, so right here was liquidity, right? Well, this was a 1 minute at the time, 1 minute liquidity. So we came down, we took this one here, and then we reversed. We made it right over the top of that, and then it sold back down. Well, guess where it went? Right here. Boom. Made the new liquidity. Well, it came up, it got rejected on this hard level here. You can see at 508.53, we got rejected. Strong sell. Maintained this low, right? Maintained this low and took out that high again. Came in and took out that high, and then it's made its move to the downside. So we've taken out quite a bit, but generally what you'll see is you will see this thing take liquidity, and then you, just like it did here, and then it set your new low, and then you're running for upside targets, right? So that's generally how I will look at it. I will look for, let's go. Where's a good example of this? Okay. So came up, took liquidity here, barely, right? Took the high, sold back down, confirmed right here. That's what could happen. That's kind of what I'm giving you the inkling of. Come back down in that bullish activity and then made that run, okay? Made its final new high here, came back down, and this was liquidity at the time. So was this, and so was this. So it came back down, made that push, and you could see that that was a strong candle. Ultimately came down here, and it tried to bounce but couldn't do it. Took this liquidity, and then we bounce all the way back up at our liquidity target, right? Took that out, came back down, took out whatever 1 minute was there, and then what came back up, took this liquidity out. And then we had a reversal, took this liquidity out, took this liquidity out, and then ultimately took this liquidity out. And it's held that until it made the final liquidity draw, and then skyrocketing, right? And then we're looking, hey, back up here. We opened up and we sold down because we took this liquidity, and then we jetted on this confirmation. But that was a ton of stuff to skip, right? That was a ton of stuff to skip. And so we're going to likely find ourselves moving back down. It really just boils down to NVIDIA saving this market, because the market would have just fucking tumbled had it not been for NVIDIA's earnings. And we're starting to see some pressure on the daily 10, right? So it's starting to catch up to it. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it's going to press it up. This is all bullish here, all bullish until proven otherwise. So it wouldn't surprise me to see us roll down some more. But I was kind of watching this particular play. Okay, so took our liquidity here and looking for it to run. Took our liquidity, I watched it create that fair value gap, and then I watched it and I'm monitoring it to take out this liquidity here. But in doing so, it's going to break this, and it would likely bring us back up over 800, or at least into that 800. 799 is a pretty strong volume. We might see it just take our weekly open here. Excuse me, I don't know why that's not there. Run into our weekly open and then see a false breakout and then make this run back down to this range right here. I think that's ultimately what we will see happen. but we'll see some of this liquidity taken. We've taken out everything to the low here, minus revisiting 665. So that's probably not going to happen. So I find ourselves likely pushing back over this 800 mark on NVIDIA, having that false breakout, and then really coming down and doing some testing around this 750 range. So one more push up on NVIDIA before a good push down for me. Taking a look at 4-hour RSI, it would indicate that we do have a push down to come and redo that, right? So this is the harmonics that we talked about, coming back down to that range. It's just flatlining. It's trying to cool off, but I think ultimately it will get sold back down into that range. It's just a matter of, I think, taking out 795 at least prior to making that move down. But I really think 805 is probably going to be tested as well. But you can see the block here is huge. The block here is absolutely huge. 1.28 million, 70% in this block here of volume was traded. So a ton of volume was traded in comparison to down here. So we'll see a lot of people. That's got a ton of resistance. So makes really good sense of what we're looking at there. Okay. So again, we failed to meet this, right? We failed to meet this. We're making, at this point, when we make this lower, this would be for me, would be a buy stop. Okay, so what that means is, or a sell stop. When we cross through this would indicate that we're likely pushing down. So you could go and say, so watch it cross here, and this will induce, because it's a lower high now. Normally, if this was liquidity, this would draw it back up, but this will likely, so they bought on it, trying not to let it go below that, because if it does do that, will likely suck us right down to 506. This would be, once it passes it, it's going to be a magnet to 506. We'll set that up. Boom. There it goes. Straight down to 506. Straight down. Come on down. Keep on coming. Keep on coming. So they're trying to buy it up. Gap was there that we talked about. I think we'll still get our straight to 506 right here. Like I said, this would be a buy stop. Boom. It would drag us right down to this 506 range, making that lower high. We're having some buyers come in. Unconfirmed break here and an unconfirmed break here. So we have some targets to the downside to come and test prior to doing that. We now have 3 failed attempts, okay? So this is fair value gap. So this is where you would look to say short this virtually here, and you're looking for this thing to roll back down into this range. So this is where you start looking at lottos, right? There's a gap here that's unfilled. So this is going to be a hard rejection here. Hard rejection here on this low now for it to send it back down. But there's a gap fill here. A lot of times they like to fill that before they slam it down. So this would be a great place for a potential opportunity to take this to the low of the day. So just monitoring it. Like I said, here's a gap fill that's unfilled in a fair value gap, but watching this thing try to reject off of that, looking to confirm. At least this would be the bare minimum, right? Bare minimum that we look for right here. But I think we could run ourselves all the way back down into this range here. Real simple. So this is where I talked about running from liquidity to liquidity, right? Running from here, and that's a triple fail. So I would assume that 505.40 is in danger. You can catch some 505 puts right now for pretty cheap. So, talk about, let's just say a 505 put. So now our 507 puts up 35%. I'm waiting for this thing to push a little bit further. I'm looking to see it try to run it down into this liquidity here is what I'm looking for. I want to see it run it down all the way into this range. And once we take these three out, then maybe it'll have the power to juice to come back up here. So I'm waiting patiently on this. Waiting patiently. Take a look at 5 minute. Okay. Nice little trend being broken right now. All right. Running down for us. Run it down, baby. Run it down. Sorry. Bored. Waiting. 506 right here. Definite bounce zone. 506 hole right here. At a confirmation break. So be real careful in this range. You can take some profits from our short up here. But watch for a particular bounce into this range here. Maybe close this gap. At that point, I really like this thing rolling down into this though. Really getting nasty. Really strong sell off down here. I'm sitting in a few shorts right now. I'm waiting for it. Waiting for it. What's that? Do my alert right here. Okay. There we go. Big strong sell just like we talked about. Nice, 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 nice. We're up big. We're up big. If you took the 505s, you're up 61%. And it can keep going. I'm watching for the liquidity down here. This is a failed triple top, guys. Watch for it to run up down here on us. It can bounce out of this fair value gap. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. All right. Nice sell there. Okay, we talked about inducing that. This would be a buy, stop, and watching this thing run all the way back down to 506. We got that, and I think we're going to get more. I think it'll probably, it's going to be up to the buyers to hold this, but I think we can continue to run down for this liquidity down here. I'm just waiting patiently for it now. We're really oversold, so we might see a bounce back up at 506. There's another gap here. It's kind of crazy the amount of gaps that are from today, but I think we'll likely find ourselves swiping some of this liquidity here. Really being oversold though, really. So going from one extreme to another, right? Way up here, 81.90, and then maybe making that way. So let's see if we get a little pop, and then another sell down. Did you guys take that? So if you took the 506, you would take some of those now, and that would make it where it doesn't matter if it retraced, you're not losing any money. but we're waiting for our targets down here. Come on, come on. There we go. Now here's the thing, right? If we lose these, it's probably going to be a huge buyback in, okay? So you could try. Let's take a look at our 1 hour. Our 1 hour is right there where we're talking about, y'all. So be very careful. I'll go ahead and take some profits here on my other 505. All right. This is where I talked about the swingers would step up right in that range, right? So we took a nice little profit, 130, 140% profit there. And then I've just got some runners here to see if we're going to slap through these. If you guys took that, let me know. Nice little gain here. 92%. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out here on this one last contract that I have. It's a nice move. Get in the chat. All right. So, okay, here we go. Here we go. Swipe them, baby. Just go right through them like butter. Go on. Go on, do it. $505.40 is what I believe the target is. Okay, $505.40 is what I believe the target is. But you can definitely lose your ass here at this moment. You can lose your ass real quick. This can just zip right up. Okay, when you take this liquidity, it can zip. But again, remember, I said if somebody's selling huge, man, this thing can bring this thing all the way down here. And it, what did I say? It goes from liquidity to liquidity, right? So if you're bullish on this move, you can buy right back at 506.80, 507s right now. But I think a 3 failed top, but we have a multiple failed bottom here as well, right? 4 failed bottom. So watch for a potential push back up. But I truly think one of these liquidities has to be taken. Has to be. Just I won't feel right if it's not. Okay, so there you go. Remember what I said? You can lose your ass on this quick. Let's see. I'm going to buy about 50 508s right now. I'm going to buy about 50 508s calls and just try to sell off 25 of them and see what happens. Yep. All right. So if you guys took that, we're in a fair value gap. Okay, we're in a fair value gap right here. This can turn back down. Okay, this is that fearless type of look. Up 33% on 50 of these right now. Let's see if I can get a fill on some of them to reduce this cost in case we just turn over a little bit. So I'll try to get some of them gone at still a decent amount of people buying at 3. I'm in at 3. I'm gonna see if I can get some sold at 4 cents just to reduce some of these costs. Whoop, 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 whoop. Hold on. Wait just a second. All right. Create new order. So let's sell 10 of them at 4. 5. There's so many being sold at $4 right now. It'd really take a move in order to get those sold. So I'm not going to sell that. I'm going to sit on that. There's tens of thousands being sold. Well, fuck, I already got filled. Oh, great. Okay. All right, guys, I got to hop off here for a quick second. I've got some phone calls to take. Bear with me, or I'll chime in next.